Hey everybody, part of the anniversary week for this channel, I'm going to make a quick video on some of my most disappointing knife purchases of the year and just disappointment that I've got from different knives. And it's not necessarily knives that are terrible, but you ever get that pit in your stomach where you just feel like something went wrong and there's nothing you're going to be able to do it. And you get that feeling a lot from online knife purchases, which is where I get most of my knives from. So I'm just gonna go through some knife purchases that kind of gave me that sick feeling in my stomach or just made me mad overall. The first one's kind of an honorable mention because I don't have the knife anymore. And I was trying to buy my dad a Halo 5 Microtech and it ended up being a clone. And the guy was so sleazy about it, just sleazy from the get-go. Telling me he was gonna get the receipt and oh, his wife bought it for him, and oh wait, no, now, hey, can you free up that money because I'm going out of town this weekend and I'll get the receipt when I get back. So I called Microtech and I called where he said he bought it from, and they'd never heard of the guy. And right at the end, when I was about to reverse the PayPal, and just set up some stuff for him, he said, "Oh, my wife just told me she bought it off of AliExpress and it's a clone, and oh, I'm so sorry." So that I was so mad for around a week. And if you've ever been in that situation, you understand that kind of being upset. And that's the kind of feeling I'm kind of talking about these different knives. And a couple of these are like that, and one of them is just something that I messed up myself. Well, not even messed up myself, but it was that same kind of feeling. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with two obvious ones, and we're going to count this as one. And these are these Mantises. Now, I traded for these with a guy that's a sub from the channel, and he's also part of the Facebook group. And this has nothing to do with him. This has nothing to do with me being upset with him. But these knives are so close to being really, really cool. I just love the way they feel in my hand. They're chunky, and I love the blades. And that's where it ends. This one, you can hear it. It just rattles the blade. So when I got these, I wasn't upset. So the pit in my stomach thing didn't really start until I tried to send this in to Mantis. And I talked to the owner, and he said, "Sure, send it in." And I had good feelings it was going to get fixed. And kind of find out it didn't. And they just sent it back in the same condition. Told me they couldn't find anything while I was talking about. They didn't hear any rattling. I can start my own rocket band with this thing. So that's where that kind of got started. And then, I don't remember this one. Yeah, this one got a little bit of play. Not too bad. But they didn't offer me any kind. I asked for tools. I could open it up myself. They didn't offer me that. And I tried to buy something and it didn't work. Anyway, so I got this really gnarly feeling in my stomach. And it wasn't, again, it's not aimed at anybody specifically. This is aimed at the company and their inability and lack of desire to help me. So this is probably one of my biggest disappointments from this year. I love these knives. The Pit Boss and the Tough Tony, just had really high hopes for them. So these were really disappointing for me, and it was a lot about the customer service. And then I just started using this knife a little bit. Even though it was rattly, it's not dangerous. The lockup was pretty good on this, and so I wasn't worried about it. So I was using it, and then the blade steel on this thing was just horrible. It wasn't even worth using to open boxes and cut things with. It chipped and it bent, and it was just kind of miserable. So just a miserable experience, and now they're just good as words of warning, as moral choices. Don't do this. So that's down there. Mantis, you dirty no goods. Okay, then there was this, the Boker Momo. Y'all remember this, right? This used to be a Boker Patriot. And I bought this on Blade Form. And what I didn't do was when I bought it, I should have checked out what the guy had done. But he actually had a post where he had taken his Patriot apart and looked at the pieces and whatever. And I'm guessing sometime during that time, it messed up the lock or whatever, because when I got it, it was really cool and I liked it. And I think I did a video on it maybe. But when I got it, I started looking at it, and then I just took my thumb, just like so, and went bleep, and just broke that lock repeatedly. And it wasn't even hard to do. So what I did was I just epoxied the heck out of it, filled it full of epoxy, wrapped it in grip tape, filled it full of epoxy again, and so now I got kind of a cool, not cool, but something I made and I'm not going to get rid of. It's part of the channel, Boker Momo. It's super sharp, and if I ever did any kind of hunting, I think it would hold up. It's very, very solid. I wouldn't want to use it as a hammer or anything. But the reason I had high hopes for this knife, and it kind of gave me that loser pit in my stomach, especially when I found that guy's post on Blade Forum where he had taken it apart, and he didn't say anything about that in the ad. I think he sold it basically as new. So that was really disappointing. But it's become a mainstay of the channel now, so I'm not too worried about it now, obviously. But definitely one of my more disappointing knife purchases and knife experiences. The Boker Patriot pre-Momo days. Now it's a Momo, it's okay. Okay, now we're going to get into some weird hurt feelings. This one's fairly recent, and I did a couple videos on this, and there was an angry pilgrim, you sir, who got in contact with the maker on this. This is Matt Bailey Custom, and he does some really, really excellent work. In fact, let me show you his other one. I know most of y'all been here and know what I'm grabbing for, but I'm going to show you guys this real quick. This is the first Matt Bailey. This is his first one I got, the Model 3. I wasn't disappointed in this whatsoever. Just a great knife. But then I got this one, and I love the color on this, and I loved everything about it. But right here, where it switches from this recurve into the main belly sweep of the blade, there were some serious edge issues. And the reason I had a problem with this was that the edge was messed up. And then the main reason I had a problem with it is he wasn't super helpful. And for what this thing cost, it seemed like the customer service would have been in the whole realm of the customer is always right kind of thing. And I wasn't asking him for anything. I just wanted him kind of to say, hey, yeah, I can see where it's messed up. I can tell that I didn't do the best job there, but it was all basically, that's my perception, and if you perceive that it's messed up, sure, send it back. And it took several emails, 4 or 5, where he finally said, look, send it back and I'll pay the shipping, when it should have been taken care of in the first place. So this was a huge disappointing thing, because I really loved the feel of this knife. Hold on, I had to take care of my cat and put him in the room with no windows. No, I'm just kidding. I won't do that. But the Matt Bailey thing, and if this knife ever came up again, I would definitely buy it. I love his stuff. I just wish that he had changed that up just a little bit. But if you get a chance to get his knives, they're awesome. And I fixed this up a little bit, but I know he would have fixed it up. I just didn't feel like going through that whole hassle. I knew you would have fixed it up after several emails and my assassin went after him. Yes. Yeah, watch out for him. Alright, so there's that. Now this one was my biggest scare, biggest problem, and y'all are going to be shocked and amazed when I bring this one out. This, yeah, the Formax. Now my first video ever was on the Formax, and I loved it when I got it, but it was like that girl you dated and you loved, and she was good to you, but then you found out she wasn't what you thought she was supposed to be. I don't know what it was. Maybe she was a closet smoker, or she had 3 big toes and you didn't know, and everything was really good about her except for those 3 big toes and the webs between the pinky and her ring toe, or something like that. And so that's what it was with the Formax. I got it and I felt it in hand and I loved it, and it was chunky and thick and massive and beastly and just everything I was hoping for. And then I started looking. And I started looking at the lock. And then I started looking at the locks on the other Formaxes that had come in and people had done their pictures of or videos of. And I realized, oh no. And this was when I was first getting into knife reviews. And I didn't really understand the whole world of the clones and how that worked. And that there wasn't a clone for every single knife in the world. But I didn't really know that at that point. I just knew I dropped $400 on what I thought was my favorite knife ever, and what ended up being my favorite knife ever, but it didn't have the dog leg cut out in the lock bar. And at that point, the lock kind of stood up from the scales a bit, and so I freaked out. And I freaked out on the guy that sold it to me on eBay, a real reputable dealer. But I freaked out on him, and he freaked out back on me, and we had a war of words. And so then I got on Blade Forum, and I freaked out over there. And then all of a sudden, other people with the same knife, the same lock problem started coming forward. And so we started getting in touch with Cold Steel. But in the meantime, I was going to send my first one back, and I freaked out and I bought another one from another reputable dealer. Then his showed up and had the same exact problem, and I realized it's not a clone problem, it's a production problem. So we started jumping on Cold Steel a little bit, and they ended up fixing it, and it was really cool because, of course, they sent all those back to Lord Demko, and everybody with the problem had like a Lord Demko mid-tech because he fixed the lock problem in these. And it ended up being awesome. So the story overall had a happy ending, but for a long time I had that pit in my stomach that just said, "You've been screwed." And I just felt so silly and so stupid because I'd made my first video just saying how awesome this was, and then my second video was saying, "Oh, no, it's not. You're a big dummy." But now, of course, I love this knife, and I can't stop buying them, so that's a problem. Alright, so that's the story of probably my 5 top worst experiences with just the knife purchases and feeling bad, and you know that pit in your stomach, that sour feeling that you get when you think somebody's taking you. You know, you bought those high dollar speakers over there at the gas station. Yeah, it happened to my brother. You punk losers that do that need to be shot. Pressuring people. I smack you around. I got some gorillas out there. They just want to beat you up. Alright, enough of that. Enough of my preaching. But this was just my sour feelings in my stomach. These ended up being justified. Just terrible, terrible people as far as customer service. They may be great fathers and mothers or wonderful churchgoers, but they're bad knife makers and customer service. This was a bad purchase on my part. Should have done a little more research. But ended up being a cool story and a cool part of the channel. The Matt Bailey, I will definitely buy from him. He's a quality maker. Just need to get it straight on the customer service end of his thing there with mine. And of course the Formax. Well, let's see. We all know how the Formax story ends. It ends happily. Well, I'm going to have to bring up the camera a little bit to show you how the Formax story ends. It ended happily. Everybody walked away happy. I can't stop buying them. There has to be a Formax intervention or I'm going to keep going. I need letters from my family saying, "Look, if you don't stop making us eat ramen, we're not going to love you anymore." But I love the Formax. Of course, it got me into my Demko addiction, and I love Demkos. Alright, like here, subscribe here, share the channel. Let's get more people out here because I got some ideas for PIF that are coming up, and I really want to blow that up this year. But we'll talk about that in another video. So share the channel if you get a chance. And let me know, what was your disappointment? Did you have a bad disappointment this year? I know you did. Some of y'all did. Some of y'all had some really terrible experiences. Did you roll some blades, chip some blades? I'm not talking about puncture wounds and slices. I'm talking about stuff that made you feel bad, like this is a horrible knife, or this is a bad experience, or something like that. We'll do a horrible knife thing later. In fact, there's a thread over on Facebook about it. It's pretty grody. But talk about it here, or talk about your horrible knife experience over at Facebook. Like to hear about it. Like to know I'm not the only dummy in the room. And I really appreciate it as this week is ending up. I've really been thinking about the whole channel thing and what everybody means to me. And while I'm here, let's just thank some other folks. I want to thank Chad, and I want to thank Bubba, and I want to thank, let's see who else. I want to thank Jeremy, and I want to thank, hold on. Sadistically Sharp, did I already thank you? Let me go down the list here. Hold on, let me grab my list. Okay, and I want to thank Tony P, and I want to thank 49 Giants. These are some recent guys. The 49 Giants, kind of recent. I really want to thank him. Of course, Frank, I want to thank you. I'm going to thank some more tomorrow in my wrap it up video. But these are just some of the ones we'll get out of the way. Did I thank Nick already in my first video? Nick, thank you so much, sir. You've been awesome. William Best, holy heck, you're awesome. I look forward to your comments every single video that you leave comments. I'm usually scrambling for a dictionary or for Google or for a Trivial Pursuit box just to figure out what you're talking about. But you're awesome. Okay, I'm going to get to some more tomorrow. And I guess that's it for now. This dragged on a long time, but I want to get the thank yous in and get some more in tomorrow. I really thank y'all, and I will talk to y'all later.